Today, Homeland Security Secretary Kirstjen Nielsen went up to Capitol Hill to share a little dose of something called reality with Congress.
We face a crisis, a real, serious, and sustained crisis at our borders. We have tens of thousands of illegal aliens arriving at our doorstep every month. We have drugs, criminals, and violence spilling into our country every week. Illegal immigration is simply spiraling out of control.
Now let's break it down to the cold, hard facts. In the month of February, 76,000 illegal aliens were apprehended at the border. That's just the ones apprehended. A 30% increase from the previous month apprehensions. And from the year before, it's even worse.
This is an 80% increase over the same time last year. And I report today that CBP is forecasting the problem will get even worse this spring as the weather warms up.
Could be getting worse? Well, we could be looking, yes, at nearly 1 million illegals crossing our borders if the trends continue. If these numbers hold, every 4 months, we'll import the equivalent of the population of Richmond, Virginia, or Baton Rouge, Louisiana, into the United States. And this isn't a national emergency? Let's face it, most Democrats know this is a crisis. The sheer volume of crossers is overwhelming our facilities. And liberals then blame Trump when a migrant doesn't see a doctor immediately? As with their embrace of infanticide and reparations, Medicare for all, Democrats have gone far, far left on immigration. And now they are, in effect, for open borders.
There are other options, ankle bracelets. There are other options to incarcerating and holding everybody by the thousands. There were programs that will enable people to go into our communities and to be able to be tracked in our communities.
Well, she wants low jacks on everyone? What is that? Be tracked in our communities. They already put ankle bracelets on a lot of the illegal immigrants, and they just tear them off. Terrifying that she doesn't understand the basic facts of immigration. And while we're creating these grand new plans to hold illegal immigrants accountable and track them, let's not forget who's footing the bill here. Guess what the cost is? $82,000 per year per illegal immigrant in the United States. And then, of course, the children they have, and then the children are citizens, and then no one's deported. Democrats prefer to focus, though, on non-citizens, their treatment, their medical care, and, of course, their race.
You wanted to separate children and families, and you wanted to do it with compassion? You have no feeling, no compassion, no empathy here.
White babies would not be treated the way these babies of color are being treated, Madam Secretary. This is about color. We've opened our doors. You're tired, you're poor. Huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Accept we now have our quota of people of color.
It gets very dramatic when you whisper. Now, the Democrats can't play chords. They stick to one, maybe two notes, and they're always off-key.
For the record, Madam Secretary, are we still using cages for children?
Sir, we don't use cages for children. In the border facilities that you've been to, they were not made to detain children. To my knowledge, CBP never purposely put a child in a cage, if you mean a cage like this.
Purposely or whatever, are we putting children in cages as of today?
Children are processed at the border facility stations that you've been at. Some of the
And I've seen the cages. I just want you to admit that the cages exist.
Sir, they're not cages.
Well, you know what that is? See it up on the screen? Right there. That's a so-called cage that the congressman was referring to. But that, well, those, kind of a fencing thing, it's an enclosure for sure, was used by the Obama administration to detain illegal minors during their processing until they could be placed with sponsors. Now, where was the Democrat outrage when Obama was using the same fencing facilities that liberal do-gooders now deplore and make a big deal about at a hearing to get on shows like this? Well, instead of focusing on the surge at the border and the lack of facilities to house the people crossing the border, Democrats are throwing sand and throwing down the race card. It's about all they know these days. When the CBP Commissioner Kevin McAllion testified to the Senate Judiciary Committee that walls and barriers in key hotspots along the border had an immediate impact in reducing the crossings, Senator Dick Blumenthal, he didn't want to hear any of it.
The numbers of border crossings are still at a historic low compared to other times in our nation's history.
No, Senator, they're not. We're on pace for over 700,000 crossings this year. That's closer to historic highs than historic lows.
The commissioner is 100% right. Over 60% of the total apprehensions along the border are now illegal family units and unaccompanied alien minors, those under the age of 18. And new DHS figures find that those apprehensions of illegal family units have surged by 338%. But no emergency here, no crisis. And the apprehensions of unaccompanied children are up 54%. That's not dangerous for them, right? No emergency, no crisis. How about this?
Because of the increase in violence at ICE, when we have families with children, we have to give every girl a pregnancy test over 10. This is not a safe journey.
Girls are being abused, raped, and in some cases trafficked as part of these caravans, and it is despicable what is happening to these young people. Congress needs to get its head out of the sand and stop this madness once and for all. If someone crosses the border illegally, with rare exception, they should be turned back immediately. Family units or people posing as family units would not make this dangerous trek once word spread in their home country. Congress should pass this law. If you want to apply for asylum, that's fine, but you should do so in the safety of your home country, or, as is beginning to happen now, once you're in the United States and you declare, you should be sent to Mexico until your case comes up for hearing. We have a backlog right now of 800,000 immigration cases. The current system today, it's obvious. Come on, everybody knows this. Democrats know this. It incentivizes human trafficking, the abuse of kids, and more illegal crossings, period. That's why you have the big jump. Any Democrat or any Republican who refuses to act now are the ones who are truly lacking in the feeling and the compassion and the empathy, not only for the illegal immigrants, but for the American people they're supposed to be representing. And that's the angle.